The first time I saw a cuttlefish swimming in the wild, I was astounded by how prehistoric and alien it looked. Cuttlefish are astonishing creatures with heads like an elephant's, 8 arms, they occasionally splay then join together like a trunk, and small bodies ringed with thin rippling fins that look like a silk shawl. They glide across the ocean floor, changing their colour to match the surface beneath them, from gold above sand to brown and red over seaweed, and even their texture from smooth to thorny, blending in with the background so effectively that they're often noticeable only when they move their silken frills. Cuttlefish are not just otherworldly in appearance. Consider these facts. Their pupils are shaped like the letter W, and it has been speculated that cuttlefish eyes are fully developed before birth, and the young start observing their surroundings while still in the egg. Their blood is colourless until exposed to air, when it turns blue-green. They have 3 hearts and a donut-shaped brain that is larger in proportion to its body size than of any other invertebrate. The cuttlefish bone, that white, oval-shaped object you often see washed up on beaches or in budgerigar cages, is actually a thick, calcified internal shell that helps cuttlefish control flotation and separates them from fellow cephalopods such as squids and octopuses. There are 4 or 5 male cuttlefish for every female, an excellent ratio in my view, but all live for only a year or 2. For me, cuttlefish are symbols of awe. After my first sighting, I was charged with a peculiar kind of electricity for hours. They still have this effect on me. I regularly spend the winter admiring them, then mourn when the spring tides cast their light white bones onto the shore. When I dive down to swim alongside cuttlefish, as I have several times this week, the world slows to the rhythm of ruffling skin. They rarely flee and are sometimes quite friendly. Seeing them regularly in the bay at the foot of my hill has given me an unexpected insight into awe. If I had guessed that spying them gliding along reefs could be part of my daily ritual, I would have devoted myself to ocean swimming decades ago. Peter Godfrey Smith, a professor of philosophy and history, who also lives on my hill, likens the giant cuttlefish, which can grow to 1 metre in length, to an octopus attached to a hovercraft with arms like 8 huge and dexterous lips. He reminds us that the mind evolved in the sea. All the early stages took place in water. The origin of life, the birth of animals, the evolution of nervous systems and brains, and the appearance of the complex bodies that makes brains worth having. When animals did crawl onto dry land, they took the sea with them. All the basic activities of life occur in water-filled cells bounded by membranes, tiny containers whose insides are remnants of the sea. In other words, the sea is inside us. If you joined the hundreds of people in my swim squad, you might think at first that the routine was simply about getting a solid bout of exercise before the day begins. We meet after sunrise at Sydney's Manly Beach, swim out to the headland, then arc across a protected marine bay to another beach. The caps we wear are bright pink. The name we call ourselves, the Bold and Beautiful, is a bit daft, but it's a reminder that the squad was formed years ago by middle-aged women who were too nervous to swim the distance alone. This morning's swim was never about skill, but about pluck. Most days, at some spot along the 1.5-kilometre long route, heads will cluster, arms pointing down under the water at enormous blue gropers, cuttlefish in various states of disguise, also occasionally breeding or devouring each other, bearded wobbegongs, Port Jackson sharks, eagle rays, and even tiny darting turtles and seahorses. Just this week, a pod of dolphins curved past me as I swam around the headland. In early winter, dozens of young dusky whaler sharks usually swarm the bay, only a few metres beneath us, migrating only after they've already become large enough to make people nervous. There's a reason a collective term for sharks is a shiver. When I was writing this, a dawn swimmer was bitten by a shark he says he bumped into in the dark sea while he wasn't wearing a headlight. The fact it was a usually mild grey nurse shark meant we were able to continue swimming without fear.